There's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP morning show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. The little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP. Hey, Gumpers.
Hola, bon dia, alegria. Monson here from expatsportugal.com with the Good Morning Portugal show, live stream and podcast. How are you this morning? I am muito cansado. You know what? Let me just play you something to set up the show this morning in so many ways, actually. This is fantastic. We started off on Friday taking the in-laws, my in-laws, Luisa's mum and dad, of course, to the market, went into town. I had a lovely time. Oh, I'm just trying to sort out my greens. Oh, no, not that way. There you go. Just sorting out my green screen this morning. There you go. Hope you're sorting out your green screen too, wherever you are in the world. Yeah, lovely weekend. Starts after the show on Friday for me, of course, and have a lovely weekend. Took the rallies to the market, to the beach, went out and had a lovely meal at Samar. Hola, bon dia to all the crew at Samar restaurant in San Martino de Porto. Sunset on the beach, and then Saturday, yes, met Andy and Emily over from Cambodia, which was amazing. They were passing through the town, and it was lovely to meet up with them for a coffee. And then a bit of a blur. Can't remember what happened Saturday afternoon, Saturday night. Not because I was drunk or anything like that, but just so much going on. And it's nice to be back in this chair for a little bit of a rest for a moment. But this is what we saw on Saturday when we were down at the beach, and this is a clue to what we did yesterday evening. Well, me and the two eldest anyway. Now let me just see if I can. Oh, this is the one. Check this out. This is a great setup for the show this morning.
Circo em San Martinho do Porto, ao lado do Parque de Campismo, o Circo Cláudio, que apresenta grande espetáculo. Hoje às 22 horas. Atenção todo o público. Vá Circo. Hoje é grande espetáculo às 22 horas.
A little bit of a sunset on the bay for you there, but also the wonderful mobile PA. And I think that's actually the ringmaster, the owner of the circus, and one of the key performers in the show. I love Portuguese circus. And the only thing that was putting me off, as you may have heard if your Portuguese is up to it there, is that hoje, 22 horas, 10 o'clock at night, you take the kids, take the family. And the circus in Portugal starts late in the evening. In this particular instance, Circo Claudio started at 10 o'clock in the evening, and we weren't out of there. The kids had to have a wee. They couldn't hold it any longer, so we had to leave a little bit early. And it was actually, as it turned out, it was just, when now the end is near. We could hear that still going on in the tent. So we left a little bit early, but it finished pretty much at midnight. 2 hours of entertainment. For you, 15 euros for an adult, 10 for the kids. Really, really good. And I love going to the circus here because it's people are actually putting on a real performance every night. Probably sometimes there's a matinee as well. And it was typically the lady selling us the ticket when we arrived was one of the performers. Everyone serving popcorn, selling tickets, closing the door behind you, seating you, selling you all those flashy light things at the break. They're all in the show as well. Quite amazing. It's an incredible tradition, and I think it should be supported. So a couple more days here in the Bay. If you're anywhere near the Silver Coast, you can get the smell of the crowd and the roar of the grease paint. Really, nothing super slick or Hollywood about it. Real, you feel the sand under your feet because you're in a beach car park where the big top has been erected. And who doesn't like to erect a big top first thing in the morning? Absolutely brilliant entertainment for all the family. And yeah, I think I've got a still of us. Yeah, this is before we went in. Just getting excited about going in. Look at Minnie there. She's lost her 2 front teeth for the moment. Nothing to do with the circus. But yeah, absolutely brilliant evening out. And but you know, quite a late start, late finish. And then here we are. Back in the chair for a nice little rest this morning. How are you doing this morning? Let's see who's in. Sarah's in. Stephen. Adagel. I got your message, Adagel. I will respond to that. Moaz. Steve. Hello, Steve. How are you? From Dublin this morning. Wow, amazing. That's lovely. James is in. James will be here, of course, at around 1:45. I better crack on, hadn't I? Cindy B's in. Maxine. Thank you, everybody. Fatin is in. And Baddy, Owen, Andy, thank you for those lovely pictures, Coach Turner and Deagle. T-Duck not joining us this morning, but here in spirit, of course. Morning to you, T-Duck, if you are tuned in somehow, but I know you're not going to be making your usual contributions this morning. And Lee McGrady, head gardener Lee McGrady. You're going to love our pictures from the garden, Lee. Some beauties. Here's Jimmy Chu. He's thinking, what's in that plate? Oh, he's not going to be interested in those greens. Actually, this was part of the weekend as well. Look at all this lovely produce that came out of the garden. Thanks to the green fingers and thumbs of Mrs. M. Oh, a part of my slideshow from the weekend, of course, is going to Pit Stop. Another thing that I forgot. Pit Stop is live music venue, and not me. I'm not against motorbikes, but never been into motorbike culture. And Pit Stop is all about the bikes, the big all that sort of stuff. Great big Harley. I've never seen so many Harley Davidsons in one place for a long, long time. And so, yeah, rocking out, bikes, beer. I mean, that's the, you know, my father-in-law likes that scene. So we went down there. But I sat out by the food truck and had a lovely burger like this. Which was I highly recommend. You know, my thing is more of a smoky jazz club. Nice. You know, maybe a little bit more intimate. But if you like your rock and your open air, sunshine, beer, booze, bikes, all of that, and burgers, Pit Stop's the place for you on a Sunday. And that was really nice to do as well this weekend. Oh, and just finally then, from my weekend here on the Silver Coast, we've got some... I don't know if James calls his part of Portugal the Silver Coast as well, whether he extends that description. We'll find out from him at 1:45. But just finally then, a little Silver Coast sunset for you there. That was Saturday evening in the bay there. If you haven't been to San Martino de Porto, please put it on your list. Do come at some point. And before I forget, down to the south very quickly. And we forgot to show these. More beach fun, beach-based fun, Portimao. This is Victoria. Good morning to you, Victoria, as well. Look at this feast that Victoria sent us last week that I forgot to show. But that looks very nice. A nice Portuguese white there, hopefully chilled to crispy perfection. And even the cigarettes on the table for a smoke after, but in a traditional Portuguese style after lunch as well. It goes lovely vegetables, simplicity and deliciousness on a plate there. That's my kind of cooking. It really is. Look at that. And what are those? Pargo fish, possibly. Maybe doradas. Possibly a pargo there. Which the fish witch lady, she seized upon me when I went into the market on Friday. She's a rascal. She really is. She was getting the fish. You want these, don't you? And starting to gut them and rat them. No. My child, she really frightened me. She caught me unawares. The lovely lady at the fish market. I think I showed you the video of San Martino de Porto and that wonderful fish lady who's there in her traditional garb as well at San Martino de Porto market. Anyway, onwards this morning. We'll get James to talk through his own pictures when he arrives. He's got a lovely little slideshow as well. And I think I've got so much to show you. A bulging mailbag this morning. Oh, this was a funny thing that happened I want to share with you from last Thursday evening's webinar. The joy of Zoom and sharing an office with somebody else in the family, as you'll discover here. Great. So good evening, everybody, and welcome to our Portugal calling webinar for the 21st of... Oh, that's an interesting pin board you've got there, Luis. Maybe you should stay right there. Let me just
this is my wife's dream board, you know. That's why.
Really?
It's imagine I want to be like that. No, it's not me.
I'm going to start the recording again. Sorry, that really threw me.
Okay.
I think I've gone quite red now. Okay, good evening, everybody, and welcome to this Portugal calling webinar. It's really... Yeah, don't worry, I haven't gone into a time warp Bill and Ted style though. Hasn't he got an amazing laugh? Luis Duarte, who joined us, and he shares, must have been sharing an office with his. We saw him in the morning, didn't we, on Thursday morning in the GIR office in Sintra. And there he was, I think, back at home. Hadn't had anything to eat. He joined us both ends of the day to talk about shipping to Portugal. And he happened to be in front of his wife's dream board and her bikini bod image behind him, which is very off-putting. And he tried to blur it out, but he still was peeking in through his headphones for the whole of that webinar, which you can see on our YouTube channel now. Okay, so Christina, of course, joining us from EI. It's Migration Monday after 9. James will be with us in a few minutes, but I must say hello to everybody who is here this morning. How you doing, Deagle? Bon dia, Carl and Gumpers from a wet weekend in Belfast. 1 inch of rain, my goodness, lots of local flooding across Northern Ireland. 5 months, and it's Manhã de Natal, yes, 25th of July. Thank you very much for that reminder that it's only 5 months until Christmas, Deagle. Stop it. And saw Portugal won the triple jump at the weekend. Oh, excellent stuff. Well done, Portugal, for that. And yeah, so while we're on the subject then of sports, and Portugal, of course, loves its sport. And winning the triple jump at the weekend. Let's go to some God squad action and feel athletic ourselves. There we go. So God's got tip of the day. Watching the Athletics World Championships relays, where the UK had some success, reminds me that training with others can make it more fun. Find friends to walk or run with, Billy. No, mate. No, only kidding. Some people do prefer a walk in solitude, don't they? And yeah, it's been on my mind, actually. The beauty of life. I do think I've become a bit harsh and cynical and a bit preoccupied with things other than the beauty of life just recently. I mean, it's never far away, and I'm never far away from it, and the acknowledgement and gratitude for things that are beautiful. But I think I haven't got quite the balance right in the last few weeks and months. So hence many more photographs and videos sharing with you there. I think it's quite good to avoid the negativity and the cynicism and the harshness that can permeate our age. So there you go. Get out for a walk in nature and maybe take a few pals with you. Thank you very much for that God Squad tip of the day. Coach Turner, I hope you're well where you are. And yes, great result for Portugal. As for Duplantis in the pole vault, just epic. Yeah, pole vaulting's come a long way, hasn't it? What an amazing thing to dedicate your life to pole vaulting. And when you can see what happens when people do dedicate their lives to something, it's just an extraordinary sport, that, isn't it? Quite incredible. It's an art form. It's an art form of track and field. Bon dia, Gumpers, then, from James. He'll deliver this himself to you as well. Feliz segunda todos. Como foi? Hoje fim de semana. And yes, I think he's got some Portuguese pronunciation coaching for us. Also, actually, I'll let him do his Will Wright. Will Rogers, not Will Wright. Who's Will Wright? Was that one of the Wright brothers? I'll let him do all of his announcements himself when he arrives in a few minutes. Andy the Porky Feet, hola, bon dia todos. Hope you've all recovered from your weekends. Lovely picture from Andy from the Barrada region. He's a canny fella, is Andy. A lovely picture here. Thank you, Andy. This is you out and about, cycling and everything as you do at the weekend. And what is it you've been up to this weekend? You say here to me, great country cycle this morning, breakfast at one park, then lunch at another, drank our body weight in free beers. And he's giving all the intel away. If you want to go to those events that give away free beer, they're in the events listing at expatsportugal.com/events, or what's on, I should say. Drank our body weight in free beers and 3 servings of the free hog roast lunch, followed by a couple of café cheio com cheirinhos to finish us off. Living the Portuguese dream. Lovely job. Excellent, Andy. You know how to do it, don't you? I wonder if he coaches people in said lifestyle. Fatin is also in with a hi there. Fantastic. And Nuno is with us as well. Hi, you're waiting for Carl, James, and Christina. This is before we even started. Bon dia alegria on Bon dia alegria. Stop rushing, Carl. Take a breath. I'm just trying to get James on the screen, you see. I did talk to him a couple of weeks ago about joining at 22 because we didn't have enough time. And here I am talking all over his slot very soon. Bon dia alegria. This will be my last few days. He's going to walk. If I don't go to him soon, he's going to walk. He's going to have had enough of this. I won't be treated like this, says James the Slug. And then he won't walk, actually. He'll just slope off very slowly, just like a proper banana slug. Bon dia alegria. This will be my last few days in Portugal before returning to Iceland this week. I'll be back in the winter, but we'll be following online as before. That's great, buddy. And then Hola Bon Dia, folks, for the time being, from Owen Lloyd Martin. Let's play that theme tune in. That must have been one of the quickest 15 minutes I've ever had. 15 minutes is I've had for a long time, but we can't hang about. It's now time to play this lovely theme tune. A rising twang to welcome James. Don't worry about it. It's only the banana slug. How you doing, mate?
I'm fantastic, thank you. Had a great weekend.
Yes. You clearly did. Let's go straight into that. I'll play the video at the end because it seems like a fitting end to the show to hear the Portuguese Atlantic lapping on the beach. But you sent me some lovely stills as well. Oh no, not that one.
Not that one.
Not that one.
I didn't take any pictures of that.
There's James enjoying Santa Cruz, I think, of Portugal this weekend. How cool is that? You met Neptune by the look of you as well.
Yes, he was there for a surfing competition.
Right. How incredible. Right. But buried in sand up to his waist. That's a great thing to happen, isn't it? Yeah, okay. And then a long shot. Is this Santa Cruz then, the overhead?
Yes. That's heading north from not quite the southernmost edge of it. It's an incredibly long stretch of beach. It's beautiful.
Where is it?
It's about halfway between Ericeira and Peniche.
Okay, all right. So we could claim it as Silver Coast then, right?
Yeah, not being native, I don't know what to call it. I just call it beautiful.
Yes, just call it beautiful. That's the name of the autobiography, isn't it? In which you will find many of James's thoughts as espoused and shared with us on a Monday morning. Look at this. We put this fella on the spot first thing on a Monday morning, and he keeps coming up trumps, keeps on trumping every Monday morning with beautiful insights about the world. What have you got for us this week, James?
Well, a couple of comments. First of all, one, you made mention of the Wright brothers, and I thought I heard your stereotyped American accent, because their names were Orville and Wilbur. So I can hear Orville, Wilbur. I can hear you do that. So
what that time when they flew to Porto?
That's right.
Yes, that's the one.
So a non-stereotyped American would probably just say Porto, but
yes. Porto.
Anyway, it's still in my ear. Porto, stop. I'm getting used to the ooze. I'm even pronouncing American S's like shh all the time now.
It happens, doesn't it? It happens. Isn't that funny? For San Francisco.
Yes, absolutely. It's like, oh,
stop it. Wrong language. Yes, very good. Thank you for that. Thank you for the coaching, because you did have a little bit of language coaching from Nuno as well, right? About Bon Semana, is that right?
Yes, and I copied and pasted it, and he had made a typo, so then I changed it. Anyway, that's the correct one. I used final de semana because I was checking my other language on a translator, and it gave me that, and I just copied and pasted and didn't notice. So when Nuno corrected me, it's like, I missed that. But I figured, hey, this is a great reminder. I saw a reference last week to final de semana, and I didn't know the difference. So end of the week is different than weekend.
Yes.
I mean, not literally, I guess, but
no, not in reality, but linguistically. Yes,
yes, exactly.
Okay.
So I thought, hey, great learning opportunity for all of us.
And here's Wilbur Wright's quote of the day. I don't think. Get all the good laughs And isn't that so true? And I don't know if you heard me saying, I don't know if this is going to influence what you've got to share with us with your view of life and the thought from the Redwood this morning, but I have felt myself slipping into being a little more harsh and cynical and wanting to be right about things in these last few weeks. And I think it does match the temper of the world somewhat. But I think this is brings us back into proper perspective as far as I'm concerned about the laughs, the life, the laughs, the beauty. The joy of life here in Portugal. That is, after all, what we came here for, right, James?
Yes, and it's yet another reason I don't follow commercial news. I generally don't want to laugh when I'm watching the news. So laughter is healing. It causes us to breathe deeply. It's good for us physically, mentally, emotionally, all those ways. So yes, laughter. Yeah. Love it.
Yes. So here we go. Have you got some laughs for us this morning, or more sort of poignant and pithiness?
Well, I was reviewing some of the previous episodes that I was on just to see if I had missed anything. And I did see a question from Stephen Wells, a couple of weeks ago as I was talking about authenticity and full expression of self and so on. And he asked what I thought was a great question that I wanted to address, at least in part for today. He asked, how did you decide on what me was underneath the environmental triggers or responses? As I was talking about sort of finding myself, regaining myself. And the simple answer is that it goes back to the noticing. I noticed something didn't feel quite right with me. Pretty much my whole adult life, it wasn't disabling in any way. It's like I was told most of my life that I remembered that I was logical and intelligent and that the value was given in my mind and my ability to think and do well in school. And that was all true, but it became my identity based on what the people around me, what they knew me as and how they were defining me. And the moment of waking up for me, the moment of noticing was in a workshop. And I've made reference to Challenge Day, which is an amazing organization. And I went to this 3-day workshop and it almost had the experience of what I imagine it would feel like to be in heaven. It was overwhelming to me. And it's like, why? I mean, this is so touchy-feely and so, it's just not who I am, right? Based on my identity or my self-identity. And when I went home, because I was staying at my parents' for the weekend, I was talking with my mother about it. I said, I don't get it. It just felt like home to me. And it's, it was all, emotional and heart-centered stuff. And she looked at me and she says, well, that doesn't surprise me at all. I said, what? And she said, well, you know what we called you when you were little? And I said, no, I don't remember. And she said, we called you Lovey. She said, you were always looking for a lap to put your head in. You always wanted to sit next to people. And I had completely forgotten that part of myself. Yes. And so it was this moment, this awakening for me that I was home. This is like, I recognize this feeling of love and heart connection with people that I don't want to say lost, but it took a back seat in terms of my self-identity. So for Stephen, the answer to the question for me is that it was in that moment that I started to wake up to who's the real me. We don't know what we don't know. So this is a waking up. It's just discovering, self-discovery, and having the opportunity to redefine myself as an adult, as opposed to define myself based on the expectations that had been put on me my whole life. So that is the long answer to that question. It's like, I don't want to write this. I'll just address Stephen. And thank you, Stephen, for the question. It's a great reminder for me. And I think potentially a great opportunity for other people to, do some self-investigation if they're not feeling something doesn't feel quite right about their own sense of identity. It's like, take a look and see, who are you really? Who are you really?
Well, what a fantastic invitation to start a week on a Monday morning. That's absolutely brilliant, James. What's the name of that workshop again?
Well, the name of the workshop has changed several times. The organization is called Challenge Day.
Right.
And they focus primarily on offering full day programs in high schools and junior high schools that include adults and obviously the students on issues of self-awareness, full expression, honesty, transparency, authenticity. It's based on the idea that we tend to think that if people really knew us, they wouldn't want to be around us.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
and and what they discovered and what they teach in these amazing full-day workshops with kids is that the opposite is true, and it's true of, I believe, all of us. I even gave that to lost my train of thought. Anyway, the idea is that what the truth is when we reveal ourselves, truly who we are, if you really knew me, people like us more. They don't run away from us, they embrace us. So
Yes.
these people in the workshops in the schools were having, imagine high school students who had been bullied by, and I'll just use another stereotype, a football player. And I'm talking American football, so more like rugby, but anyway, big tough guys like teasing and
Jocks, you call them. Yes.
Yeah. Imagine these guys who have all this ego and all this bluster and everything to lose in terms of being perceived as a weak human being if they let down this whole bluster of bully.
Yeah.
Apologizing in front of the entire school to the kid they had been picking on for years.
Yes.
And that kid having a moment of just relief and the promise from that person that they will not pick on them anymore. And a matter of fact, if they see anyone else trying it, they'll stop them.
Nice.
And then embracing in a hug. I mean, and this happens every single day. It's amazing work, heart connection, and learning to love each other more by knowing each other better. So the great question, the ongoing question is statement is, if you really knew me, and then you finish the statement, you would know this about me. Sometimes I'm afraid, sometimes it's amazing work. And the workshop is then a more extensive, deeper dive into that experience over the course of a weekend.
Look at that. Challenge Day. I've never heard of this. And it's DAY. I thought it might be like God, DEI, Challenge Day. Opus Day. But it's challengeday.org. Serving over 49 US states, Canada, Belgium, and the Netherlands. Challenge Day is on a mission to create a world where every person in our communities feels safe, loved, and celebrated. Why isn't this on the news? Challenge Day is a non-profit organization committed to building empathy and compassion in our communities. We help youth and adults unlearn harmful habits, experience vulnerability as a pillar to restore strength, and enable them to experience the freedom of full expression through the lens of compassion, connection, and diversity. Oh, my goodness. In the past 5 years, we have supported 300,000 students and 60,000 adults directly on the end there. But that is so beautiful. James, thank you for bringing that to our attention. And I think in some small way, we too can offer that sort of space, can't we? Here with what we're doing. I love that lens that they're looking at life through, and your mention of it today, where people are revealing. I suppose first of all, like you say, noticing what is the real them, because sometimes it can be quite buried, can't it? You can live in the listening of others, as it were, and you can live up to the expectations of others, and that can form our personality when we're younger, can't we? Because we're quite influenceable, I suppose, and before you know it, you've compromised and created a view of yourself to satisfy others, if you're a people pleaser, if it's a survival matter. But then comes a moment where you, I suppose, maybe a little bit more resourceful, or your change of circumstances, where you get that feeling that you talked about. Maybe this isn't the real me. I've got a new opening. I might have moved to Portugal. I might have a new job, and I can express myself differently.
Absolutely. Yes. And then it goes to, we talked about this before too, the challenges of redefining ourselves. And I mentioned that one of the things in moving to Portugal is that I wasn't now surrounded by people who had an idea already of who I am. So I could be more authentic, and start from there, because I was less concerned whether people liked me or not. It's like, if you like who I am, great, we can be friends. If you don't, that's fine. I've got friends, and have a great life and go find the people who like you,
Woohoo!
So
Yes, isn't
it's a
that
new
liberating?
opportunity. It's very different than being surrounded by family and friends who've known you for years, who have this idea of who you are. You change, they go, who do you think you are? It's like, well, this. That's who I am.
But that's an interesting sort of supplementary issue here. And by the way, everybody, we are waiting for Christina to join us, and the three of us have a chat around 9 o'clock. It might be a similar situation. I don't know if the transit are on strike or if there are some difficulties in the capital, but we're just hanging out and awaiting Christina's arrival in a calma tranquilo fashion. No biggie. We'll be here until she arrives, and then she'll be able to answer all your migration questions. But yeah, how lovely that is, James, that you have this opportunity to operate in a new space and take that view that you have. I really like that. Well, if you like me, great. If you don't, have a great life. And that's pretty grown up, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, and it comes from being, essentially liking yourself. It's like, that's fine.
Yes.
If I'm the only one who likes me, I'm okay. I can live with that. And
Yes.
it turns out, again, consistent with Challenge Day, if you really knew me, this is who I am. And I've got more friends than I've ever had in my life. So,
well, I hope that's what people find, is because I suppose that feeling that you described, that we all have, I think, sometimes in our life, of something's not quite right here. And it's quite easy to have that feeling at the moment. I think it's quite a contemporary possibility, isn't it, to have that going on? And then, you could say, well, then hence the need for more vulnerability and authenticity in life. And I've forgotten where I was going with this train of thought now. No, I can't remember. But that's just me. You can like it or leave it. Isn't that great? We're living in the moment, mate. Both of us have forgotten our trains of thought this morning. Superb. That's really brilliant. Yeah. But anyway, there we are. That is the opening. That is the possibility, I suppose, isn't it, for coming to Portugal? And if you've been waiting to do that all your life, you might take the advantage of the new space and the new clearing in which to share yourself in the way that you feel most real, I suppose, and natural, and your true self. Share and be your true self. I've come back to full circle to where I'd gone with that. And now I've forgotten it again, I think. Do you ever do that? Do you ever think you've got it and you come back and
you're kidding me all the time? It's like, I should write that down. What was I going to write down?
Where's my pen? Was I going to write something down? Yeah. But I think that's a wonderful sign of living in the moment, actually. And I don't think anyone should give themselves a hard time for forgetting anything. The green hand is coming in. My pen is here now. Look at that. That's what you need. Yeah. Can you help with thoughts that drift by as well?
Thank you, Thing.
Thank you, Thing. Yes, indeed. Here it comes. Oh, my thoughts are being put.
Give us a wave.
There it is. Words are being put into my mouth by a floating hand. This could become an act. We could join a circus that I went to. Careful with that hot tea hovering over my lap there. Thank you, Thing. Very good. Have a nice day, Thing. Thanks for the tea. Brilliant. Whilst I try and remember.
You'll never remember now.
If anyone can help James or I remember what we were trying to say this morning, please do so in the chat there. It was something to do with this authentic self. Cheers. Talking of authentic self. A bit of chocolate on your lips there from breakfast. Yeah, you might want to check. Well, you might not want to check the mirror. You might just be being your authentic self. She's being her authentic self with her mouth covered in breakfast. Well, you're not being judged in this community. Don't worry about that.
I don't know where your train went, but mine got stuck on wanting to make sure that I give a shout out to Challenge Day for this whole Notice, Choose, Act thing. That is their operating motto. That's where I learned it. Notice, choose, act. And it has been so valuable for the remainder of my days. I mean, well, that sounds kind of final, but you know what I mean. But over 20 years of doing this work, and the influence it's had on my practice as a therapist has been phenomenal. So I just cannot speak highly enough of Challenge Day as an organization. MTV, remember them way back when?
I do.
They actually did a documentary series called If You Really Knew Me, and it was all on Challenge Day. I highly recommend looking that up. If you want to get a sense of what a Challenge Day experience is, you can watch it on video on YouTube.
What an incredible proposition. So there's an invitation today to maybe live life in a way that resounds, echoes with that. If you really knew me. And I think that's a very important point, isn't it, for young people? Because they are being formed in their environment, aren't they? And sometimes who and what they really are has to take a back seat in the intensity of teenage development. And hopefully it can be rested at some point, and then the real you, the if you really knew me you, can come to the fore in later life. What a shame that we can't do that sooner rather than later.
Absolutely, and that comes into play. It's an issue of safety. When we feel safe to be who we are, we can truly be who we are in this environment. Of all places, high school, you're talking about adolescents getting real with each other in a vulnerable way. It's like miraculous to be a part
they'll do it better than grown up. Well, if they go for it, they'll do it better than grown-ups, won't they?
Yes. And that's the adults that participate in these challenge days. They're just their instructions from the people that facilitate them is just play 100%. Yes. You know, that's all. You don't have to know anything. You don't have to have any experience. Just when we say, okay, everyone get up and be excited and dance, you do it bigger and better than anyone else, because that creates a safety. The kids see the adults doing that going, oh, what are those idiots doing? And we can do that and we can do it better, right? And so then they join. It's amazing what happens when we feel safe.
Tell me, James, so given that we are Good Morning Portugal, we're all about helping people come to Portugal and enjoy their life here. Have you found that easier? Have you found being authentic, true to yourself, easier in this environment? Have you taken full advantage of that sort of opening and clearing, as it were?
Well, yes, and in part because the culture is much more suited to who I am. I'm not a news watcher. I'm not a have to win guy. I'm not a always know I'm right. I'm not a have to be in a hurry, get an ulcer over things kind of person. And Portugal is just so much more to my suiting that way, right? Relax. Oh, yes. Just stand and wait for people to decide what cheese they want. You don't have to get past them. Just wait.
Well, when you put it like that, there's there might be people going, hold on a minute. Is that me that he's talking about? I've got an ulcer. I get really mad about queues and cheese and stuff like that. So take a chill pill if that's you. Come to Portugal, and who better to get help from after this little bit of music here? I think we were talking about dancing, weren't you? Gilda's not here, so we won't play a normal theme tune. We'll have some of that raving business going on now to welcome Christina, who was nodding in appreciation, I think, of what you were saying there, James. So let's have a little bit of let's move our way into this session with Christina now. Okay, let's go. If I can find it, yes, I can. Here it is.
Hola, Cristina.
Yeah, how are you? You well, Christina?
Oh, we're well. How about you guys?
Yeah, we good. Well, you can hear James is talking about being his authentic self and some of the things you can enjoy by moving to Portugal. Would you agree with those things you just heard?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Okay, so don't get mad about people buying cheese in front of you. It's a key life skill to learn, right? Take a ticket. Wait
it out, yeah.
Wait it out.
I was at Intermarché, and so this was based on real. The man, I'm assuming was the husband, was in the refrigerator, right, head in, and he was looking at all the cheeses. His wife, or the woman, was standing right behind him, and their cart was behind her. So the three of them were blocking the entire aisle as he was like talking about the cheese and this one, and do I get this one? And he shows it to her, no. And then he proceeds to empty the refrigerator of the kind they finally decided on. Like 35 packets of that cheese went into their cart. It took probably 5 or 10 minutes, and I was just standing there waiting. They didn't even notice I was there. I was just kind of chuckling and smiling, and okay, this is Portugal. So
must have been good cheese, James.
I'm not the kind of girl that goes passive aggressive and says "com licença."
That's what you could do when you've been here for a little while.
Just let me get my cheese and get on with
someone
my life.
behind me might have heard that from someone behind me.
Yeah.
Like,
James, what was the cheese? Because if they are buying 35 packets of cheese and taking 10 minutes to do it, it must be very good cheese. Did you get a look at the label?
I did not, and I think it was some grated cheese in a plastic bag. It kind of surprised me. All the choices, that's what they wanted, and they wanted a lot of it. So
it might have been pizzas at Grandma's maybe that weekend. I don't know. Yeah, okay. Well, there we go. James, did you want to round up at all with what you've been saying this morning before we get deeply into Migration Monday with Christina?
One final thing that in terms of that, the changing or not changing, but claiming yourself. For years, I was saying, well, I've been Jim my whole life. I'm Jim to everybody I know. And I'm making this move, and I've toyed with the idea, maybe I could change my name, make it more, to my Anglo-Saxon, whatever, and go with Seamus. No, that's a little too much. So when I came to Portugal, I intentionally said from this point forward, my identity in my name is going to be James. So I literally changed my name coming over here too, as a way of demarcating this identity reclamation. I was going to say change. It wasn't really a change, just reclaiming myself.
Yes.
And it's interesting, my self-talk, especially when I'm being critical of myself, I still call myself Jim when I do that. It's like, Jim, you meant, oh. So that's it helps me. It's like, oh, James doesn't do that anymore.
That's incredible. Jim. So you might recommend that as well, that people make a really clear change or transformational marker by.
I don't know that it's a recommendation, but it certainly worked for me, and I think it could work for others as well. Especially when you get to talking about being your authentic self.
Well, as you go boldly into the week, we could say that was life, Jim, but not as you knew him.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, James, you have
James.
James, have a great week. Thank you so much. I'm sure people will be very glad of your counsel this morning, and we look forward already to seeing you next Monday.
Yes, and I look forward to watching the remainder of the show with you, Christina. Thank you.
Okay, nice one, mate. And I'm sure James will be chipping in as well, Christina. How's your morning going? How was the public transport in Lisbon this morning?
Well, it was okay, just a little bit delayed, so not so bad.
Very good. And how was your Portuguese weekend? Sorry to be nosy, but it's very important to people here to know how Portuguese people spend their weekends. Did you do anything special, or were you just resting and relaxing? Because we know you have a very busy week.
My godson was his birthday this Saturday, so we spent the whole Saturday with my godson, just having fun. Yeah. And then on Sunday, as one should, we should always go and have some fish.
Oh, right. Okay.
So I go to my favorite place of all time in Setúbal.
Oh, are you able to? Oh, the Fisherman's Tavern. Okay, so I was going to ask if you would reveal your source, and you're very happy to there. So the Fisherman's Tavern, is that what it's called, or is it that in Portuguese? Taberna do Pescador. Okay, and that's a highly thought of and delicious place to go, is it?
Oh yeah.
Okay, and what did you have? What was?
I had sardines. What else? Sardines.
Okay. Silly question.
Sardines. Yeah. I just love sardines. So good.
Yep. Okay. So I was coming back from Salida de Porto. Actually, I was on the way to the circus last night at 10 o'clock. And I'll ask you this in a little while. Why does the circus start at 10 o'clock in the evening on a Sunday night in Portugal? But let's go to the cash machine. Coming back through Salida de Porto, and I think they've had a second weekend of sardine grilling, and just they weren't even cooking them anymore. But the coals had that lovely aroma. Hot coals that have had sardines cooked on them. And just that, as we drove past in the car, I'm like, oh, yes, it reminds me of all the tellings off I've had about grilling sardines with Gilda. It takes me right back to that beautiful place of munching on sardines. Yeah. Why do circuses start at 10 o'clock in the evening on a Sunday night in Portugal, Christina?
Who knows?
But they do, right?
I mean, sense at all.
Not even to Portuguese people on a school night. Oh, okay. So it is the holidays now, to be fair. But yeah, I mean, it's quite incredible, isn't it? Everybody is quite, they're serving beer and coffee, and they need to, don't they, when they start the circus at that time of night? Is it because you had a nice day out on the beach and you go home and have dinner and then you go back out again and have another day, kind of?
Probably. I think that Portuguese people even still like circus more at Christmas time. So in the summer, it's more like, there's nothing to do. Okay, let's go to the circus.
Oh, right. Okay. Well,
or the carnival. Nowadays, there's a lot of carnivals.
Yes, yeah. Well, I did know. I felt a little bit sorry for Circle, Claudio, and I hope it gets better for them tonight and tomorrow night. There were only, 20 or 30 people in. It wasn't the biggest of big tops, but they could have had a few more people in there. Do you think it's a dying art, or do you think it's still got years of life left? Because it's up against quite a lot of other forms of entertainment. Carnival, as you say, you can stay in and watch Netflix. You can go to the cinema. You can go to the shopping mall. There's so many things you could do, which didn't used to be such a strong competitor to the circus, right? I don't want to see it go.
I know, but then there's always that situation with the animals. There are a lot of people now that are against circus using animals, and they simply don't go to the circus anymore because of that.
Oh, and
there are a lot of circus that have completely forgo of the animals and just keep to magic tricks or acrobatics, stuff like that. But
that's what we had last night. Yeah, I thought it was so good. I mean, it's real, isn't it? These people have trained all their lives, and every afternoon or evening, there they are giving their all. It's not like just playing a movie. It's such skill and such, it's so real. The sand was underneath our feet.
Years of practice,
Yeah, it was. And the kids coming through, they were obviously a family. They were selling you the ticket. They were selling you the popcorn. And then they were on stage in front of you. It's fantastic. And I think there were 3 animals in the show. A great big polar bear with a human inside it. And 2 mice called Mickey and Minnie were also, and they were the only 3 animals in the show. So there was nothing to worry about from an animal welfare point of view, unless you see the exploitation of Mickey and Minnie all over the world. But yes, anyway, please go to the circus in Portugal, folks. I don't think there are many with animals anymore. It's a great night out and a really good look into Portuguese culture as well with the clown humor. It's just superb. Really enjoyed it last night. So what's new in the world of migration, Christina? Anything this week?
Anything this week? Except the rumors of the new law and apparently a new law being in the works to have countries of Portuguese language not being, or rather to make it easier for them to get visas to come to Portugal and find jobs.
Oh, really?
Still not vetted, but it's going there. It's going there. It's going fast.
So this has been an issue, has it? That I don't know what you like to call them. I mean, the first phrase that comes to mind is the former colonies, which doesn't sound so great, does it? But that's what we're talking about, isn't it? The former colonies of Portugal. And so for people moving from there, it has been difficult or not as easy as people would like it.
Yeah. It's always very difficult, especially for countries like Cape Verde. I'm just going with Portuguese.
Yes.
Cape Verde, Angola.
Yes.
Yeah, those countries are very hard for people to come from there to Portugal. Sometimes getting a visa is not the easiest process. So they are trying to make it a little bit easier for those people to come freely.
Okay. Yeah. And then politically, that's because we can have a much freer and more fulfilling economy, presumably, as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so the politicians will be pushing from that point of view. Interesting. Okay, well, we'll see. And what do you think is the likelihood? Is it just a political process that's slowing it down, or is there political tension to stop it happening?
That's a tricky one. I think there's a lot of things involved and a lot of concern about how easy is it going to be.
Yes.
So until it is really duly written out and published, we don't know what will it entail and how hard will it be to get a visa like that. Is it solely based on language and the fact that you can speak Portuguese? I don't think so. There must be something else behind that. Otherwise it would just be too easy, right?
Okay, we can't have that. Okay, so No other news in terms of reunification appointments or the Brits getting their biometrics. Or no. Okay, I'm being silly, aren't I? Sorry. Okay. Let's see who's here. I know people want to say hello to you. Lee, good morning, people. Moaz is in as well. Great to have you here, Moaz. And we're not part of your digital detox as we feared last week. Bon dia, Carl y a todos. Sarah's in from Setúbal, from your favorite fish restaurant town there. Have you been there, Sarah? Are you a fish eater? Maxine is in as well. Bon dia. Cindy B. Bon dia, Alegria Gumpers. Very good. Stephen, you had your earlier question. You had your question from weeks ago answered by James earlier on. How good is that as a service to you, Stephen? Bon dia, Alegria from Aredia Pinto as well, from Victoria in a hot, hazy Portimao. Do you like the Algarve, Christina?
I kind of like the Algarve, but for me, sometimes it looks like a British colony. I'm sorry, I have to say it.
This is what we love about you.
We go into the Algarve and we don't see anybody speaking Portuguese at all, so it's very weird. It depends on the time of the year.
So maybe the British government should make it easy for people from the Algarve to go to England if they want to move there.
Why not?
Yes, quite. Yes, any Portuguese people will extending an invitation. If you want to go to Britain at any time, the least we can do is return that favour. Hola, bon dia, all watching live for the first time from Dublin. Are you enjoying Dublin, Steve? How lovely over there. And Carl, we have a great circus in Belfast. I think there's a joke coming up here, Christina. We have a great circus in Belfast called Stormont. To the untrained eye, it's our government. But it's a circus of errors. Yes, I thought somebody might make a political joke when I mentioned the circus. Bon dia from beautiful Gaia this morning from Connie.
Yeah,
keep your voices down. Everybody, Hank's still snoozing. While Safe is here as well. Bon dia. And Kate with a bon dia, Carl y amigos this morning. Oh, I don't know if you've heard any of this from your clients or anything about this, Christina. I heard the airport situation in Portugal and all of Europe are crazy. Well, there is some of that going on. I did see quite a big pile of suitcases at Lisbon Airport that they were trying to reunite with their owners. What are you hearing from your clients?
Well, apparently nothing. So my clients are having no problems whatsoever, or at least they're not complaining about that to us.
Yes,
but yes, it's a known fact that the airports in the whole of Europe are just facing massive delays, and it's just lack of people.
Yeah.
With COVID, they sent a bunch of people home, and now they pretty much don't have people working in those essential places like luggage. There's nobody to handle luggage.
The guidance then is, if as far as is possible, minimize all the drag and friction. Take as little luggage with you as possible. I don't know. We got people here who want to come with their 18 suitcases because they're not going to bother to ship anything. They're going to bring it with them. It's difficult if you're doing that. Of course it is. But wherever possible, minimize all the drag that you can anticipate because, as Christina says, they are under pressure at many airports worldwide, I suspect. Bon dia, alegria todos from Francis. Driving at the moment, so won't be texting. Happy to be here again. Great to see you here. And Jean in from New Jersey, Jess from the United States as well. Bon dia to both of you. And Antonio F is in. Bon dia. Boa semana para todos. Thank you very much. Igualmente to you, Antonio. And Jean is saying hello to you as well and asking how your weekend was. You say you didn't say you're not keen on the Algarve, but as well as being nosy about what sort of weekend our Portuguese friends have, what are your favorite holiday destinations within Portugal, Christina?
I like to go to Alentejo.
Okay, all right.
Just a place with a pool.
Yes.
And just enjoy some good wine, some good cheese. That's my kind of weekend.
Yeah, sounds good to me. So not necessarily Villanova de Milfontes on the coast, inland with a pool.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice and hot and with all that lovely culture. Yeah, cuisine and culture there. Very good, thank you. And bon dia from Megine. I'm going to go with there. And it's just another Manic Munson Monday. Well, thank you very much, Gary there. None taken. And Fatin is coming over. Fatin W, we're coming over on August the 5th. How can we help, Fatin? With that, do you need any help with your scouting trip, or is that fully under control? Bob Tapper also in, everyone, and happy Monday away from Bob there and from Trevor. Hola, bon dia, Gumpers. So happy we're able to meet up with so many of you in Porto, Silver Coast, and Lisboa over the last week. It was so good to see you and Shannon. And Wolfgang Wuscht is here in the Algarve that we mentioned. Bon dia from Lagos. So happy to have returned. I don't think Wolfgang Wuscht is British, though, by the sound of that name there. Rebel Mama's in. Hola, Pashol. No, Gilda today. No, Gilda having a well-earned break. Christina was in last week and is in this week as well. Are you good? Gilda's back next week, isn't she?
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, I'm no offense to Gilda, and don't tell her that. But
I won't. It's our secret.
Yeah, just you and me and everybody else will be watching this. The highest viewed show of the week, of course. Maybe we'll see you again. You can mix it up a bit. Because I think Gilda loves doing this show on a Monday, and maybe that's why she was holding onto the reins quite tightly, but she needed a break. And it was great to see. So maybe we'll see more of you in the future. I certainly hope so. Jim White, bon dia, Christina, James and Carl. Thank you, Jim. Good morning to you. Our first question, I think. Hola, Christina and Carl. Gilda mentioned that all vacancies for Article 15 are booked and closed. Should we apply for Article 98 before moving to Portugal in October, or just take a chance and move? T. Botelho. Now, what is Article 15 and 98 before we answer that question, please, Christina?
Well, as far as I know, and I'm not big on articles, I'm not an attorney like Gilda, people. I'm not an attorney. I know these things like this is this and this is that. All I know is that there are no appointments of any kind. So,
okay. So
if you want to take a chance, just take a chance, because there are simply no appointments.
And there are lots of people taking chances
nowadays.
Right?
Just get a visa if possible.
Okay. But maybe take a chance there. T. Botelho, maybe tell us more about those specifics. If you could translate that for us, T. Botelho, that would be great. And it would help other people as well. I made it safely to the other side. I don't think it's about taking a chance on a visa. So glad I tuned in while driving. Moas! Yes, it was some lovely insight again, as usual, from James this morning. This is so cool. If I can only put into words what the last year has brought to me as far as I'm learning about myself, aside from people accepting you, it'll make you accept you more. Priceless. Well, the excellent timing. And I think we always get to hear what we're meant to hear, right? And you'll be a nicer person to others. It's the opposite of a vicious circle. Well, some great value for Francis there this morning. So glad to hear that for you, Francis. My brother sent me beautiful pictures of Cape Town. I'll send them to Carl so he can show them on the to all the Gumpers here. Thanks, Moaz. Do that. Yeah, Francis lives in a beautiful part of the world. International travel then, Christina. Where do you like to go? Or are you happy just staying in Portugal, as many Portuguese people are?
Oh, no, I like to travel all over Europe.
Right.
It's always good to see the differences between countries in Europe. So closely together and yet so different.
Yeah. Yes, it's true. Yes. Any particular favorites?
My favorites. I had to say I did love Amsterdam.
Yeah.
Luxembourg is beautiful, but it's a little bit too small.
Yes. Yeah.
And I would say that my favorites would be. I have to say it. I like the UK.
Do you? Okay.
I do.
Right,
I do.
All right. Well, you can have my mum's number. I'll send it to you. And when you're over there in London, she'll cook you a nice meal next time you're over there and show you some British hospitality. She's Chinese and she's very good at the British hospitality, strangely enough. Christina from Jim there. How about that? Good morning. Oh, look, he's doing it again. He's keen to know that you're saying hi this morning. That's Jim up in Porto, of course. And hola, Christina. Great to meet you from Francis this morning. And what was this? I would like a call also. Oh, no, your people are wanting you to call them. That's good. That's worth tuning in for, isn't it? And Kit Joy Chin, are you joining us for a bit of Migration Monday info this morning? Kit Joy Chin, not noticed you here before. Good morning to you. Another hola to you. Oh, there's loads of them. Hola, Christina from New Jersey. Hola, Christina. Can you touch on the requirements for the 3-year residency renewal? Do you need 3 years of minimum wage in the bank? Obrigado. Great question, Trevor. Real good.
No, Trevor, you don't need to have 3 years of minimum wage in the bank. But it does help to show that. Okay, right. But it's not a mandatory requirement.
What are the mandatory requirements on that 3-year?
Wouldn't you like to know?
Yes, I would.
Then call us.
Oh, Christina, can we not even just have one of them? One important one. See what she did
No,
there?
for the renewal, pretty much. For the renewal, it's pretty much as straightforward as it's going to be for the first time that you apply for the residency permit.
Yes. Okay. So,
Okay, so it's not much more than just updated documents.
and really what's being checked is that you have somewhere to live and you have
Mm-hmm.
sufficient means to look after yourself financially, and that you are covered health-wise, presumably. That's
That you have been living here for the past 2 years. So yeah.
that would help as well, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Very good. Whale, Saif. Finally, we get our D7 visas thanks to EI. There you go. The Marianne Sato from Porto Branch. She is great. Thank you for everything. Can you pass that on? That'd be great.
I will.
File safe there. And what's this? Rebel Mama Ottimo. No problems with your place regarding those fires, I hope. Yeah, give us an update, everybody. I hope everyone's safe. Of course, the threat of wildfires is not past yet. Easy to think it might be. Certainly in this part of the country, we haven't been terribly affected. Hope you're okay wherever you are. Do give us an update. Certainly you, Rebel Mama, we need to know you're okay. And hello, Christina from Isa Al. Christina mentioned in last week's video that once the digital nomad visa is released, the D7 visa could change. My question is, what could happen to the current digital nomads who are residents in Portugal on the D7 visa? Will the renewal requirements change? Have to switch to a new visa, or what could possibly happen? Or the new requirements are only for the new applicants? What tends to happen? What's the precedent when visas change then, Christina?
I think that people that already have a D7 visa or have a residency permit based on a D7 visa won't have to change it once this new digital nomad visa comes into play. It wouldn't make any sense.
What, because it would create a massive load of extra admin that nobody wants?
Yeah, exactly. Okay. The SEF has no capacity at all to now say, okay, now everyone that's under a D7, stop what you're doing. Change it back.
You could
do it all again. No,
that's right. The person who suggests that at the SEF meeting in the big boardroom is going to get a public booing, aren't they? Or be told to go and get the coffee. Shut up! We've already got enough work. No.
What are you doing? Yeah, no.
So basically, what happens then with old visas is they're honored as they are, and it's only it starts here. A new line is drawn and people have to follow new conditions, but it doesn't often become retrospective. Well, that's a relief, I bet, Issa. So hopefully you're not too upset or anxious about that, Issa, and that's a good recommend. I mean, we don't know for sure, do we? You never know, but the indications based on the past experience, it would appear that you're not going to be put through another process of that kind. Capricorn Chris is here. It's a Bim Dua Toro, which sounds nice, doesn't it? My two questions: UK biometric cards and no longer having to exchange your driver's license. Come on, Chris. There's nothing new on the biometric cards. And I don't know if the person who at the SEF or IMT who suggested the new regulations with driving licenses also got a public booing from their colleagues. What's the shakedown with that? With exchange of driver's licenses, is that coming through to you? The devil in the detail on that, Christina, into your office?
Well, to be quite honest, what they tell us is that yes, people don't need to change their licenses anymore, and that once they just go in for the renewal, it should be a straightforward process. Fingers crossed, because it's the IMT.
Yes. Okay. Now, that you said quite a lot by saying quite a little there. It's the IMT. Could you elaborate on that for those who are not familiar with what that means or stands for, or what sort of problems people experience?
Well, the IMT is the Department of Motor Vehicles here in Portugal.
Yeah.
And apparently the Department of Motor Vehicles is as the same pretty much in all over the world, apparently, because I don't see anybody praising the DMV anywhere in the world. So it's more like, all of them just work very, very slowly. Have you ever seen Zootopia?
Yes, I see what you mean. And if incidentally, if anyone does want to sing the praises of their Ministry of Transport or whatever you call it,
yes, please do. We want to know where it works.
We've never heard that before. Maybe Baddie in Iceland, because she was saying how efficient Iceland is with so many things. Most things take a day bureaucratically in Iceland, and if there's going to be a delay, and it's going to be difficult. It's 2 days. And I was thinking, well, how do you do it? There are 350,000 people. That's why. So, you know, any country probably with more than about 10 people on the road is going to have a somewhat awkward Ministry of Transport. And the IMT is no exception. And I think we've got a few people in our community here who've struggled with the bureaucratic mountain that can be the IMT. So on the face of it, this is a great move that people don't have to exchange their driver's licenses. There are some caveats. And we've also said before, haven't we, Christina, that the word on the street, or as far as the police officers go, may be a slightly different view, but we've yet to find that out, right?
Yeah. Unfortunately, I think that's the problem with Portugal. It's all a question of an interpretation and who's reading it and who's interpreting it.
Yes.
So the police might interpret the law a different way of what the IMT currently is understanding.
Yes.
We don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm sorry, but there's nothing else. We can't make that any easier. It's better we tell you that than sugarcoat that. That is, you know, one of my favorite phrases in Portugal is "it depends," right? And it does get used from time to time, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's not like being in Switzerland or Germany where, you know, that might actually mean that. There may be a little bit of a grey area with some of these things, especially when a law changes like this one, and the memos haven't quite got to where they're going, and somebody might be working on some old information. So, Chris, Capricorn 12, I'm afraid we don't have much more to say on that, but we will check every week. We will continue to check every week, won't we, with you and Gilda, Christina? Okay. This is really good. Okay, so people might want to use this. James doesn't do that anymore. Great. So you might want to try this at home if somebody from the past is saying to you this, that, X, Y, or Z. Don't try this with the GNR. Sorry, James doesn't do that anymore. That won't fly with Seth IMT or the GNR. But with family members and friends, you could say that, couldn't you? Sorry, Carl doesn't do that anymore. And they're like, oh, well, what does Carl do then? Have fun with that, everybody. And Mahbub Rahman, if someone comes on a tourist visa and decides to stay longer and start a business, is there any problem? And what are the steps for changing documents and to get a residence permit? How about it depends? Would that be? Go on, Christina.
It depends. No, it really does depend. No.
Yes.
It's possible. Yes. Is it the right way to go? No. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So that's not the right way to go about it, but people have, presumably. It does happen. And what's the likely outcome with this? I mean, I get the sense in Portugal that people aren't chased straight out of the country and put on the first plane back to where they came from. It doesn't seem to operate like that. Often what happens is you find yourself maybe in a lot of anxious waiting and being moved around within the administrative system, and then think to yourself, I wish I'd done this properly in the first place. Is that often the worst thing that happens to people?
Yeah, pretty much. But when people don't do that and just take a leap in doing it this way, they are pretty much desperate.
Yes, of course
and they are just driven out of desperation to do this because they don't want to be in that country anymore.
Of course,
and so they just come and then handle things over here. But then you're stuck here until you are eventually legal.
Yeah. But for many people, that might be a price worth paying, of course, in the world that we live in. Yeah, of course. Okay. And I take it you help people who do find themselves in this situation.
Yeah, we try to help them as much as we can to make them a legal resident in Portugal and try to help them fight their desperation.
Yes, there you go. And what a horrible situation to be in, but we understand how that happens. It's the world we live in. So, Mahbub Rahman, I hope that helps you there. Joseph Galway's in this morning. With a question as well. Hello, Christina. Hello, Carl. And what is the difference between 1, applying for a D7 as a family, or 2, one spouse applying and moving there, then later applying for reunification for the other spouse kids? How would the timing work? So I guess we've got in theory and in reality. Please, Christina, over to you.
Well, in theory, it should be just okay to one main applicant applying for a D7 visa and the rest of the family doing a family reunification process here in Portugal. But I don't know if you've heard this. The SEF has no appointments available for anything. So yeah, the only thing that they have appointments for is for people that are coming under a D7 visa or any other type of residency visa. So if you don't want your family stuck in limbo, just get everybody a D7 visa.
Yeah.
Because then there is no way I can give you a timing or a timeline because we don't know. The main applicant first needs to get his residency permit to then the rest of the family do the family reunification process. But if there are no appointments, we don't even know how or when that's going to happen.
Fair enough. Your halo is looking rather marvelous today, if I may say so. It's really good, isn't it?
Sometimes you get
look at that. Look at that. And is that what happens when you start working at EI? You get a halo, I guess.
Yeah.
There's all the help you give to people. Very good. Now, this limbo you describe for Joseph here, in situation one, it's done and dusted. Everyone's got a D7. They go through that process. They're not waiting for a reunification appointment. If, on the other hand, they do take route 2, and then if Joseph is the principal applicant, and then the family come over on tourist visas, and they're in this limbo, what are the implications? How does that feel and look for people when they're in that limbo? Do they stay here beyond their tourist visa?
Well, the problem is that if you are here on a tourist visa, you only have 90 days on a tourist visa. And if the SEF has no appointments available for anything, they don't have appointments to you extend your tourist visa. So, okay, you see, no extensions.
But you are here illegally. Technically, you're here illegally, but that doesn't stop people doing that, does it? There are many people here.
Especially now that our Portuguese government has extended all visas until December 2022 because the SEF has no appointments available. But then this only applies in Portugal. So if you go to Spain and you show your passport to a police entity or some kind of authority, and they say, oh, you are over 90 days in Schengen area, they can do that.
Okay. All right. So there's an implication and an important one. Okay. So you might want to kind of hunker down and stay in Portugal until the reunification appointment becomes available. God knows when. But we it's like you write GW on there's a stamp in the office with GW on it. It's like a GKW. God knows when stamp on there. But you're back to that situation we described, where on the one hand you could do it if everyone goes on a D7, it's kind of as clean and efficient as possible, and none of this anxiety of waiting. Exactly. However, it does happen with option 2, Joseph, and I hope that helps. If you need any more clarification on that, I think Christina's let you know what you're up against in each of those scenarios. Thank you for your question. Rebel Mama, it's wonderful. There was a roving marching band festival this weekend in Setúbal. Every once in a while, there would be a marching band as I walked around town with spontaneous parades behind. Isn't that great? You're just walking down the street, minding your own business, and a band starts up and a parade comes down the road behind you. You think it's in honor of you, which in a way it is. There you go. Our village had a folklorico festa Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That says Rebel Mama. Super fun to hang out with neighbors. How lovely. Living the Portuguese dream there. Fantastic, Rebel Mama. Any pictures? Nice to see you here as well, Rebel Mama. When I move to Portugal, I'll get a sexy Portuguese name. So maybe we should help Moaz with this morning. What do you think is the sexiest Portuguese name for a gentleman? Would it be Afonso, Alberto, Antonio, or Cristiano, do you think?
Well, I actually like Victor.
Okay, well, but it would be Vitor, would it? Vitor.
Yeah.
Okay, Vitor for you, Moaz, we think.
Since his name begins with an M, I would keep it close by, so like Mario Miguel. Okay, so we might, whichever you prefer, then, Moaz, we can start calling you that in anticipation of your sexy move to Portugal there, my friend. Now contained enslaved animals, something like Cirque du Soleil is fantastic with no animals. Yes, indeed, Rebel Mama. I don't think there are many circuses in Portugal with that. There's not a single. The only animals, like I said, were Minnie and Mickey, which might be equally nauseating to you. It could be, couldn't it? Amish music. Sorry, I keep calling it Amish music every time I see your name on the screen. It's Animish music. I do beg your pardon, Animish music. How are the D7 applications coming along? Any news updates? We need a location on that, don't we? Yeah.
I think we
do. It depends on the part of the world. There are parts of the world that are hard to communicate at this time, to be quite honest, and they are leaving me very concerned.
Yes, well, that being the case, Christina, who's your favorite right now?
My favorite right now?
Yes.
Well, it's still New Delhi. Always my favorite. New Delhi.
Not in a good way. Not in a good way, though, right? No, okay. And so I was hoping you would give me the most efficient and joyous to deal with there. But okay, that's at the bottom of the pile. Your least favorite, I'm going with there for New Delhi. Nothing's changed there?
Nothing's changed there. And there are some places that are equally tough and difficult, like Nigeria, Senegal.
Okay.
They're killing me, man. They are killing me.
Okay, Nigeria, New Delhi, you get this. Christina's thumbs down of the day. And Christina's award of the best consulate authority to deal with around the world goes to
San Francisco.
San Francisco. Take a bow, San Francisco.
They are doing amazing work. I can't just say San Francisco. San Francisco is doing an amazing work, but Newark, it's close to my heart.
Newark. Okay.
Not New York.
Newark. Okay. Yeah. No, I got it. New Jersey. New Jersey. Right. Okay. Yeah. So that might help. Can you imagine if somebody goes into those embassies today or those consulates and says, "You got Christina's award today"? Like, yes,
you got the thumbs up.
People might start fighting for that. In New Delhi, might even smarten up their own. I want that. I want Christina's award. We'll see. I won't go to the circus because of the way the animals are treated. Well, okay, calma, tranquilo. There were no animals, like I said, like I keep saying last night. The changes.
But people don't know that.
They don't. So
people don't know which circus don't have animals anymore.
No, okay. There might be one or two, but really, there's. I mean, I don't. I think my son said there's a tiger on the poster, Dan. I thought there won't be a tiger there. There was a stuffed, great big animatronic polar bear, I think. There's a great transformer as well. His car came in and turned into a robot, but I don't want to spoil that for anybody. And Mickey and Minnie, that's it. Boaz, Rebel Mama, relax. The changes to the law have been approved last week. Here we go, Antonio F. But can only entry into force after passing the president and being published in Diario da Repubblica. There you go. So the law has been approved and now goes through this, what would we call it? Runs this gauntlet. The president might be busy swimming and hugging people. So we've got to put it on his list of things to do. And then it'll be published in a...
Read it. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Well, what do you think the time scale is likely to be then on that? How long does things take on that?
I don't know.
All right.
It should be quite fast because normally it's like he swims in the morning and in the evening he's just signs and vets new laws. So it should be quick, but
good.
You never know now because it's holiday season.
I'll tell you what, Christina,
everybody's on holiday.
We will put that in Christina's, except for you and me, right? We'll put it on Christina. We'll put it on Gilda's pile for when she comes back. When is this coming back? Okay, we got a question for you. You're gonna hit the ground running next Monday, Gilda. Taomei, water parks and enslaved orcas, dolphins, etc. And those. Okay. I only went to the circus and there were no animals. Did I say that? Hola, Cristina and Carl from T Botelio. Gilda mentioned that. Oh, okay, we've already done this, haven't we? But we need some clarification, T Botelio, on Article 15 and Article 98 to make that a bit more digestible for the rest of us. Christina, we heard that applying for permanent residency, you cannot be absent from the country. Trevor's done his homework. Trevor and Shannon are brilliant like this. We heard that applying for permanent residency, you cannot be absent from the country for more than 10 months in the prior 5 years. So complying with the temporary residence does not align. What do you think about this?
We heard that applying for a permanent residency, you cannot be absent from the country for more than 10 months in the prior 5 years. What? Mm-hmm. What? The only thing that the law states is that every year you need to stay in Portugal 6 months in a row or 8 months altogether. Every single year for those 5 years.
Yeah, and that's the
way you get permanent residency.
And it's not the end of the world, is it? Look at that. I've got to be in Portugal for at least 6 months.
If you want to have a permanent residency in Portugal, you must want to live here. So just live here.
And if you don't, get a golden visa. Only joking. All right. Rebel Mama. Yes, Christina. That's why I'm not interested. This is going back to the British colony known as the Algarve. Now, your friend and mine, Victoria, will have something to say about that. None taken on that comment, Rebel Mama. I was going to say we missed you, but now you're giving us a little bit of a few little jabs to the kidneys, I think, this morning. Sent in some photos of Saint Bartholomew de Messinges, ruins at Funchal de Diant. I love my Algarve. There you go. It's not all Guinness and fish and chips, you know.
Of course not.
Hi to the consulates. first send the D7 application documents to the CEF for mandatory approval, or do they first analyze it and the CEF approval is the last stage? Good question, G. Raja. How does that work, Christina?
It should be reviewed by the consulate, and then after the consulate has done its job on the visa, they will just send it over for the SEF to put the stamp on it. Let's put it that way.
There you go. Thank you, G. Raja. Great question. And thanks, Christine. You're doing great work this morning. About 10 minutes to go. Bon dia. Can I bring my wife's mother to Portugal? Is this one of those questions where the son-in-law is secretly hoping no? Send us a PM on that. What answer do you want, Alex? No, only kidding. I'm sorry. Bon dia. Can I bring my wife's mother to Portugal through family unification process? Not sure if I can only bring my parents or the wife's parents as well. That's interesting. How does it work then? Let's assume that reunification appointments are open. Do you have to bring your own parents in, or can you bring your in-laws in?
You can bring your in-laws in. Yeah, yes, not a problem.
Okay. All right. And that's going to be revolving around the marriage certificate in the first instance, and then the extended in-laws. Well, Alex, whichever way you want to play this, you can go back to your mother-in-law and say, oh, dear old thing, I've heard bad news. There's no reason. I'd love you to come to Portugal with us and look after the kids all the time. But sadly, there are no appointments. Anyway, you get the gist of that, Alex. There. Yeah. Airports, Rebel Mamas. It's the Rebel Mama Airport update. We just flew Munich to Madrid to Porto and zero issues. You see, some of this can be the media just winding people up again, can't it? It's not as if there weren't airport delays before COVID, to be fair. Of course, we carried backpacks and flew within the EU, so maybe different. So there you go. The key there is in travel light. Thanks, Rebel Mama, for that. Carl, we're vegetarian, but really glad to have the reference for a good fish restaurant. Friends arrive expecting to eat great fish, and we just stare at them blankly. Like a fish, probably, like going... Don't know. Now we know. So there you go. The Taberna de Pescadores in Setúbal there. Stubble, 18 suitcases and 3 cats. Now you don't want to be losing that lot, do you? In a luggage hold up.
At least not the cats.
No, definitely not. Thank you, Jim, for that. And you're a legend. You really are. You and Mandy. That must have been amazing. We don't have photographic evidence, unfortunately, but you wouldn't have seen Jim and Mandy behind that pile of suitcases anyway. G. Raja, depending on where you live, normally VFS sends your application to the consulate. They approve your D7, and then you come to Portugal for the CEF appointment. Thank you, Trevor, for that. Suzanne, bon dia todos. Happy to see Christina again. And good news. Thank you for that, Suzanne. Son Matt just returned from America with yet another bike, and everything arrived just fine. Good news indeed. The bicycle riders of Portugal. Well done, you guys. So great to see people out and about on bikes, and more people on electric bikes, it would appear. That's another thing you can get for your mother-in-law, an electric bike. Good morning, people, but don't leave it plugged in. Good morning, people. Only 4 days till the long-due visit to Portugal from Abel Pinheiro. I get on fine with my mother-in-law, by the way. She's staying with us at the moment. Where are we? Max Flight, vegetarians need to think carefully before moving to Portugal. My girlfriend thinks this is the least veggie-friendly country she's ever visited. Oh, okay.
Oh, really?
Yes. I think others would disagree.
Where are you staying, man?
He's in the land of the fish and chips and Guinness. That could be the problem, couldn't it?
That could be the problem.
That could be the problem there.
Come up.
A debate for another time, and one we're happy to have, but we've only got 7 minutes to talk about migration matters, or that's my excuse anyway. Digital minimalism. So this show is not part of that, says Miguel, or Mario, as we now call him. I just won't do Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and you'll be better for it, I'm sure. We're all vegetarian, and we're all fine here. Just let us know if we can. How about that? So Sarah's reaching out to Max Flight's girlfriend there. That's superb. How wonderful. Thank you very much, everybody. Where I live in the north, it would be hard to eat outside of the house if vegetarian. It would be potatoes and onions. What's wrong with that? Probably everything if it's every meal you have for the rest of your life out of doors. But anyway, thank you, Antonio F. as well. Oh, yes, we saw that, didn't we? From Antonio to T. Botelio there. Kit Joy Chin is from Malaysia. Nice, lovely to have you here. And we live in Canada, says T. Botelio. I'm a Portuguese and my wife is Canadian. But I think, was that the 15 and the 98 that happened that you were talking about there? Can I apply? Last few questions, please get them in quick. We're going to have to cut off quite soon. Can I apply to the D7 from Dubai? and I'm 25 years old. Are they accepting young ages, or recently are only accepting ages close to retirement? I work remotely for my company and I get monthly dividends. Now, here's a really good myth busting moment, right? It's not about retirement, is it? Or being old, the D7?
It's not. It's about income and it's about investments. You need the income and you need the savings.
There you go, Maria.
Savings, investments, whatever you want to call it.
Yes, there you go. Easily dealt with. Do not be put off by the stereotype image that the T7 visa sometimes has. I also love Amsterdam and London, says Miguel Mario. Amsterdam is the only city in Europe where I felt comfortable holding my ex's hand and no one was staring. We have Fabrizio and Ian coming to talk to us soon about what it's like to be a same-sex couple in Lisboeta. In Lisboa, I mean, as a couple of Lisboetas, a same-sex marriage. So I'm looking forward to that. I just needed someone who could speak on it from experience and authority, and we have them now to talk about that when they're next on with us. Max Fly, Mo has agreed. Carl always has super guests and accurate, compelling content. Thank you, Max. Love you too. Keeping all your receipts will document that you've been living here and shopping and spending here and otherwise living a regular life here. Can you imagine that smackdown of receipts when you just go to show that you've been at Continent every week? Look at that. Take that. Okay, my receipt envelope is getting fatter by the way. You're going to need a bigger envelope. You're going to need something bigger than an envelope, I think. Banana slug there. And a bit more for Tibotelli. As a Portuguese citizen, as long as you have a Portuguese citizen's card and you have to move with your family and after arrival, request the residence card, the Article 50 for them. Is Antonio a lawyer, I think? Is he working the law, I wonder? Thank you, sir. So a great team effort this morning. Fantastic. Christina, have you lived in the US? Because I think you'd have a lot of invitations and a lot of great hospitality for people who love you here. Have you been over there?
I haven't, sadly. No.
Okay. Wait for those invitations. Well, they're over here now, so they can't really invite you over there. But
exactly.
when they maybe when they fly back or they've got rallies they can put you up with. Bon dia, good morning from Jeff. Morning, Jeff. How are you this morning? And hola, Christina. I love your sense of humor. It hasn't gone unnoticed, Christina. Alfred, good morning to you. Alfred Demaro, bon dia, with the D7 visa application. I have enough funds in the bank to cover my spouse. Can I travel? I'm thinking of that literally, like a rap video where there's dollar bills, just like somebody lying there under a pile of dollar bills. Enough funds in the bank to cover my spouse. Can I travel with my spouse once my visa is approved? And what are the steps? I think we're talking about reunification there again, aren't we?
Yeah, I believe that's the question. So I would just say get a D7 for your spouse as well.
Yeah,
about the other gentleman saying that he's a citizen of Portugal and the wife Canadian. If you want to be safe, just get your wife a residency visa first. Shouldn't be that hard, unless you want to come to Portugal and just stay in the limbo. You are a Portuguese citizen. You are okay. Your wife is not, because there are no.
The choice is yours there. We will arrive, limbo or not limbo. We will arrive in Porto on the 5th of August, maybe. I will be lucky to meet Jim White. You should. You're definitely worth meeting with Jim. He's a lovely fella. Esther Mibibi, first time here. Please, can you tell us more about the digital nomad visa? I think that will just probably have to do it today. Could you tell us a little bit about the digital nomad visa, please, Christina?
Of course, I will. Once a law has been approved. For now, all we know is that it will be a visa for people that are working remotely.
Okay, so maybe we do have time for another question. Okay. Unless you are 60 years or older, regarding driving license exchange rules, then nothing changes. Important distinction, it is the age limit that I think some people are concerned about. Those people who are on those D7 adverts who are playing up to the stereotype of it being a retirement visa, which is not true, as we've just asserted this morning. Thank you, Jim. Cold or hot one on me. Oh, there you go. So Wild Safe is looking forward to buying Jim a drink. Any other expats newly here who are offering to be taken out to lunch or a drink? Put your name in the chat now. Hola, bon dia. Insomnia strikes again, but I get to watch the GMP live. My dog smells one. Lovely to have you here. In Belfast, our MOT car testing, brutal 4 to 6 months backlog. Everyone getting a 12-month exemption. Our cogs turn really slow in infrastructure. So, as you said, same all over the world, I think, Christina. Okay, rather than have a massive rush, because you and me need to breathe out here, don't we? I think I'll give the last word to you rather than deluge you with more questions. So how should we round off today?
Well, round it off as it's summer. It's the time to come to Portugal and enjoy your life here. It's pretty much the greatest country in the world. Although bureaucracy is always bureaucracy and you have to face it everywhere you go. But Portugal is indeed one of the best countries in the world. And
It's so worth it.
So
Yes.
just come on over. We'll help you out.
There you go. There's our heavenly life in Portugal jingle there. Christina, fantastic job. I'm a little bit sad, I've got to say. And again, you mustn't tell Gilda this, but I'm sad.
We'll meet again, I'm sure.
We will. Okay. Parting is such sweet sorrow, Christina. We will see you again, I'm sure, in due course. And when you get to the Alentejo, have a little bit of cheese and a little bit of wine and think of us and have a great holiday when it comes to your turn to have one.
Thank you.
Should we rave again? Let's play that music because we like that, don't we?
Yeah.
Okay. In your honor and thanking you for the last couple of weeks standing in for Gilda. You've done a great job, and we look forward to speaking to you again soon. Take care. Have a great week. Ciao, ciao. Bye for now. Oh, I've sunk down in my chair. Hold on a minute. It's this thing. It's this hemorrhoid cushion that is not mine. It came with the chair. I think I'm going to have to give it a miss. But it's not helping. Imagine being stuck in Portugal. What a nightmare. Where's that sarcasm font? Exactly. Is there a sarcasm font? It's the opposite of Comic Sans, I suppose, isn't it? Rishab, hola, bon dia. Sorry, been out of commission the last few days because of COVID. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I hope you're feeling better now, Rishab. And I'll take Mario. Yes, but what about the name? Hey, Christina. Oh, sorry, too late. I'm really sorry, Chris. You saw what happened there, didn't you? Like everyone waits till the last 20 minutes, 10 minutes possibly to get all their questions in. Shout out for San Fran, and Manel is nice too. Yes, we know Manel is nice. But what about your name, Moaz, there? Parts of Newark are practically considered a colony of Portugal. That's interesting. These comments are going way, way back, aren't they? I'm so sorry. Any questions there to Christina? It's too late now. Come back and we'll have Gilda with us again next week. Greetings to all the British... Sorry, not to all the British. Greetings to all from the British colonies in the Algarve, where the sun shines and the wine flows like rivers. Yeah, you see British people swimming in those said rivers there. I'm so sorry. We have got lots of questions for Christina, and she's gone now. And I'm going to be going soon, but I don't want to be rude and ignore anything here. Any pictures that have been sent in, we'll carry those over to tomorrow. I've got a couple more in the my picture deck and a video or two to show you, I believe. Cirque du Soleil, humans only. I'm with Vicky. The Algarve is amazing. Of course it is. It's all just a matter of personal taste, isn't it? Thanks, Cristina and Carl. G. Raja, it's a pleasure. I bet the water is warmer in the Algarve than up north. Well, there is that. So sorry, Maxine, and anyone else who wanted to get a question in or a statement. I want to ride my bicycle. I want to ride it where I like. Fish and chips. I like mine pasty and white. Are you talking about British people or fish and chips there? I wonder. Good Gumpers, a reminder here to fondle like button for this fun and informative show. Thank you, Cindy B, for being like monitor. Really appreciate that. You and Chris do a fantastic job on that. Such a fun way to start a Monday. Look at you with your lovely intimate name of 137 KSKES. Are you an aeroplane? Thanks, Carl and Christina and James. Only kidding with you, 137. Lovely to have you here. Your English is brilliant. Says I think yes, because she would criticize herself for a moment, and her English is absolutely brilliant. If only you and me could speak Portuguese as well as Christina speaks English. Hey, James. Anita in Lisbon just flew London a week later, Athens, and a week later Prague. A week later. Wow, what a lifestyle. An international woman of mystery there, perhaps, with a carry-on 8-kilo bag, no handbag, no delays, no issues. And there you go, no handbag and no need to hit anyone with one by the sound of it. Fantastic. Francis, ciao, Christina, and a good morning, everyone. Our life in Lisbon. Sounds like you should be on the show at some point. Am I right? Come and talk to us, and sorry for joining in this late. Well, when you come and speak to us on the screen, you mustn't be late. Let's have some fun talking to you about your channel, by the look of it, Our Life in Lisbon. And I would love to be stuck in Portugal right now. Dream come true, absolutely. I love Christina. says Anita in Lisbon. And oh, sorry, this is Connie. Oh, so you're there. I forgot I have 2 accounts on YouTube. It's Connie Stalika, everybody. I think that just about does it, apart from the massive amount of comments I may have missed, or I do a little scroll and I miss out a load. I see that Portuglish is in, might have missed that earlier on. Sorry, Andy. And yes, yeah, Andy. From, is that a yeah or yeah, Andy, or yeah, Andy? Porto. Okay, let me just see what I've forgotten to share with you this week. I think we have some video action. Oh, when we were talking about dragons and Vikings and so on, Johnny, one of my favorite names in the community, Johnny Cocktail. Well, actually, before we go there, thanks to Pippa for this. My doctor says I have to cut out drinking. That's somebody cutting out drinking. Right there. Your doctor's not going to be amused when they've seen that for the 27th time in their surgery, are they? Or over Zoom, of course. I heard the NHS described as the most expensive Zoom call ever. That's a bit harsh and unfair, isn't it? But anyway, we were talking about booze and we were talking about Johnny Cocktail. And when Anna was here, she was talking about mead. There is a Dracus honey spirit, a favorite tipple of the Johnny Cocktail, everybody. And what a fabulous bottle that is. Is it 96? Is the company 96 years old? Is that 96-year-old mead would be very expensive, wouldn't it? I suspect the company is 96 years of age and they produce a fine-looking tall bottle like that with a honey spirit in it. Dracus, they're making the connection with Savvy Cat Anna. Here is Tom's continued effort to have his wife become interested in coming to Portugal. This is a little hint that Tom has left out at home. Would you like to take a seat, dear? How many? I didn't know there were that many Portuguese travel guides and maps. What you got there? 11 of them, I think, by my quick estimation. Wow, Thomas, good luck with that. You know where we are. And our advice before was to bring her over on a scouting trip and she'll fall in love with the place, won't she? And I don't know whether it's good to have her listen to the Good Morning Portugal show or not. It's a bit of a Marmite experience for people. We have had people here where the husband, in Chris's case, used to tune in and loved being part of the vicarious pleasure of living in Portugal by tuning in. And his family became quite concerned and sorry for him as a result. So it doesn't always work out. You know, maybe a little snippet, highlight, bit of a podcast when you're traveling in the car somewhere and see what she says. It's like, is this English idiot on again? If you get that, turn it off immediately. If it's like, oh, this is quite interesting. He just shows some nice pictures of Portugal. That could work in your favor. Thomas, good luck with that. And let me see, what have I got in the way of video that I didn't play? I do think, oh yes, I've got James's Waves to play. I already played. What's this one here, I wonder?
I make my own beer.
Yes.
At Receita. Okay? In this brand.
Yes.
Oh, that's Joao who makes his own beer at Malaika. We're going to go and probably do an outside broadcast from there. If you're looking for a craft beer hostelry in Caldas, look no further than Malaika right there. Let me play it again. That's Vitor, isn't it? Christina thinks Vitor is a good, sexy name. And he is a good, sexy man. He'll be with us on Thursday. This is Malaika.
I make my own beer.
Yes.
At Receita. Okay? In this brand.
Yes.
Joao, we're going to talk to you soon. And Owen, there's your man there who's interested in a bit of fusion. So maybe it'll be all of us there one afternoon or evening having a fine time with Joao at Malaika in Caldas de Rainha there. Okay, I'm going to go out with some waves. Yes, I'm going to wave goodbye. See what I did there and stand by for a couple of memes at the end. You've been amazing. So has Christina. And we'll see you tomorrow morning. And I'm very, as you can see, there's a terror in my eyes trying to remember what's happening tomorrow. And it's just not coming. It's just not happening. Tune in tomorrow and find out. Here are some waves goodbye. Ciao, ciao.